Well, Saturday, April 13th. Happy anniversary, Mom and Pa. It's noon Eastern time. I'm Bob Harris. Time for the weekly Ask Me Anything live stream. But before we get to your questions, FootballGuys.com is the website. I appreciate you joining me here every Saturday at the old Diehards channel. Also on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for my On the Hot Seat live streams. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and like me or don't like me or do all those things. And yes, go back to Wednesday. Rep Manuel from Fantasy and Frames was my guest on the hot seat the week before with Matt Waldman. Still tons of good information available. So head for the Football Diehards YouTube channel and check out all the stuff there that's waiting for you. Good morning, Brian Larkin. Good morning, Scampers. Good morning, Kevin Payne. Happy to see everybody here. Dame, pleasure. And so also go to the Football Guys YouTube channel. I'm doing a new weekly news thing, just a little 10-minute thing to get you caught up. I know you guys are all caught up, so it's almost pretty redundant. And we'll talk about a lot of the things here and catch my weekly fantasy notebook every Monday at the Football Guys website. Tons of stuff up at Football Guys, of course. One-stop shop for everything you need, including the daily email. I'm going to be part of that too. By the way, going forward, it really cranks up in earnest the day after the draft, I reckon. So I'll be sharing with the great Sigmund Bloom and Cecil Lammy on handling the news for those daily emails. It's free. Just go to the footballguys.com, sign up. You can unsubscribe at any time, but you get a nice newsy newsletter every day in your inbox, and tons of good stuff there. And that's completely free, and that won't change. And you'll be finding my work there. Appreciate that, Kevin. Thank you. I've been enjoying doing it. It's funny because like I pretty much bust an ass all year round because football's an all year round thing, right? Morning, Bro Slade. Pleasure to have you here, sir. And it's funny how just doing a new thing, kind of gives you a little sense of focus and purpose. I don't want to say, I was getting stale, but it's 30 years in one place. I was kind of in a routine. I kind of like went through the motions and I mean, not saying I didn't do a good job, but it just, change after 30 years is a thing. And I always talk about change being something, change is the worst thing ever, right up until you make it. That's been my experience. We all dread change, right? Everything shifting, moving around, trying to sort out the new situations and our fear of the unknown. We do this we let the fear of the unknown kind of sometimes control our drafts as well, right? Like I'm not sure that receiver is going to do that good if his quarterback's really going to help him out. We got everything we need there. There's offense, there's lineman, there's a new piece. All these things shade us. So oftentimes it turns out change is perfectly acceptable. In this case, obviously not happy that, with circumstances of the change, but the change has been good. By the way, I have been chatting with Emil, who is focused in setting some long-term goals, which I love to see. So gonna make a little wine, grow some grapes at his place and make a little wine. So just happy to hear from him. And I know you are all as well. So a lot going on this week, right? A lot of news. The Rashee Rice thing, we can dive into that. CeeDee Lamb, a lot of receivers looking to get paid right now. And I noticed Brandon Ayuk this morning unfollowed. A lot of yard guys looking to get paid too. Brandon Ayuk unfollowed the 49ers this morning. Yes, the draft coverage is coming Thursday, April 25th. We are going to have a good time. And by the way, there's going to be a lot of coverage. I'm going to be on Sirius throughout the coverage on draft night, Thursday night. I'll be doing the instant reactions as the players are picked, then throwing it back to Dempsey, Mans, Hansen, Ratcliffe, and Bender will be there as well. I'll be doing some video work. Then Saturday or Friday night, I'll be doing a wrap-up show after the draft itself. I'll probably have some of my favorites on. Matt Waldman's going to come on. Might try to get Laub on for just a wrap-up of the first 2 days. Then Saturday, Dempsey and I will cover 3 hours, 4 to 7 p.m. to the close of the draft. And then Sunday, we'll do a post-draft on Sirius. We'll host it, and I will draft in it. People need to stop. Well, I'm going to talk about Rice a little bit. I mentioned I went kind of deep in that on my Football Guys video this week. If you didn't see it, go watch it. But it is interesting. I mean, just like we worry about the change and the fear of change, and we worry about the fear of the unknown in circumstances like this. Look, I'm not here to make a moral judgment on Rick Rice and his decision-making process. I'm 62 years old. He's 20. Uh, I think back to when I was 23 and I was doing some incredibly stupid things, right? Probably long past that, right? So, and Drew Davenport, my football guy colleague, made a great post. I know a lot of people misunderstood it on Twitter, but he pointed out Jordan Addison busted for speeding. Who else? Marquise Brown busted for speeding. Now Rashee Rice, and they were all going well in excess of 100 miles an hour. And obviously Henry Ruggs is the the most egregious. And Drew's point is the results matter more than the speed, right? So yes, driving 119 miles an hour in a 70-mile-an-hour zone is incredibly stupid. Racing with your friend in both your expensive cars, incredibly stupid. Putting people at risk, incredibly stupid. The results here are not great. Like there are people who are injured, some people who will apparently, have issues for life due to their injuries. I think Drew also has it right that Rashee Rice has shown some remorse. He's immediate within 4 days, which in the legal world to me is fairly immediate, is acknowledged he was driving one of the cars and is said he would do what he can. His attorney seems to be out in front of this. I'm here in Dallas where this case is being played out. The arrest warrant was issued. There were 8 counts, all felonies. Uh, and so that's not good. I'm not pretending that's good. But, to start making long-term assumptions. So Drew's point was the speed, it doesn't matter because we keep getting out the little dribs and drabs of details, and the latest detail was the speed, and people went, "Oh my!" Well, yes, the speed is bad, but the results are what matters more than speed. Because obviously, Jordan Addison, nothing happened. Marquise Brown, nothing happened. Henry Ruggs, obviously, a horrible outcome, and he got the punishment due for the death of that lady in Las Vegas. And in this case, it's obviously somewhere in between. So again, not trying to, make the moral judgments here. I'm not on board that because Lord knows I have done stupider things than that. Hi, Andrea. Thanks for coming. Hope you're doing well, Andrea. How are you feeling? Let me know in the chat. But beyond that, so let's get to the heart of the issue here. We're here to talk about fantasy football. So Drew Davenport, looking at past occurrences, and number one, nothing is going to happen, I don't think, NFL wise, until the case is adjudicated, which that's been the league's MO. We saw it with Alvin Kamara last year. And I would expect that to be the same. That's not to say the Chiefs can't do something. And I noted that in my football guys video, and I'm gonna write about this in the notebook as well. Uh Hi, Angie. Hi. Wendy, hi. Andrea's feeling good. That's fantastic. Like to hear that. But the desire to make these immediate, like, kind of leverage plays based on circumstances like this, I think is a fool's errand to me, right? Like, and I know we all play the game differently, but for me, I tend to take a wait and see approach because these things can take different routes. We saw it with Tyreek Hill in 2019. He was accused of breaking his son's arm, and I don't know all the details. He was cleared in the investigation. So, however that played out, but the league didn't do anything until after the thing was squared away, and then nothing. But the Chiefs did ask him to stay away from the offseason program that year. Maybe we see the same thing with Rice, and if we do, people are going to get angsty. So, what I would say, what I prefer to do, I'm not like looking to leverage the situation. I'm looking to leverage the reactions to the situation. If people are going to go crazy, and Sigmund Bloom wrote about this in his This Week in NFL News. If there's someone in your league that seems antsy, go ahead and send them a low ball offer in Dynasty. I mean, that's the only way I would leverage this. If I'm a Rice investor, it's a hold. Like you can't sell them now. You're gonna get a haircut, right? So I'm trying to avoid those kind of situations. And a lot of times with the knee jerk reactions that we like to make, I mean, like it's my nature too. Like, oh, look, something happened. Let's go get it. You know what I didn't do this morning, everybody? I didn't check my drafts to see if I'm on the clock. Can I have a second to do that? Let's see. I am on the clock. Round 13. I've got Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Brian Robinson, CeeDee Lamb. We'll talk about CeeDee Lamb. Chris Olave, Terry McLaurin, Jacoby Myers, Adam Thielen, Evan Ingram, Luke Musgrave. I suppose I should get a defense about now. Our defense is going at this point. It's the best ball tens. No defenses are going. I probably should get another running back, I guess. Let's see what's available. I will tell us what's available and we will decide. I could go any direction here, honestly. So Dalvin Cook, not going to draft him. Braylon Allen, rookie. Gabe Davis, the Swiss Army knife, they're calling him. Roshan Johnson, Brandon Cooks, Khalil Herbert. Should I get some Xavier Worthy? I'm about in that range. Is everyone on board with Xavier Worthy here getting the speed play? Help me out. That's what I'm going to do. I think I can get some of these guys. Oh, Dontavian Wicks is there too. I could probably get him around later. Mm, 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 mm. By golly. All right, I feel better. I'm not on the clock anymore. I'm going to start a couple drafts today. I'm doing a solo show on Sirius today. Mike Dempsey is out golfing, so it'll be me. I have on. I did it. I did Worthy. Nick Chubb is gone. He must have just gone because I was checking that one last night. So it's interesting. Nick Chubb in round 10. I know the Browns just reworked his contract, so he's going to be there. I've been kind of avoiding Nick Chubb just because the vague language that I'm hearing sometime in 2024. He had the 2 surgeries. The first one, early enough. The second one, yeah, the MCL they do first, and they like to do it in this way because they like to start. So they let the MCL heal, then they like to start the rehab right away. Yes, I may draft rookies. I'm in a Brian, I'll tell you this, and I shared this last week, and I did do it. I shared this last week. I'm in a league right now. Where I'm at in that league. Um, a dynasty league where we Superflex dynasty, where we draft our rookies before the NFL draft in this draft. And yes, we call that a layer of man. Graham Bar on the clock forever. I've got a handful of picks. I got some guys in the queue, so I'll be fine here. But interesting to see how some of these play out over the course of time. If you have any questions about these, please ask. But yes, we're drafting like crazy and drafting rookies like we know where they're going to play. And that's one of the things when you're drafting this early, you realize you're going to have to make adjustments after the draft, and you're going to change your approaches and landing spots are going to matter. But for now, you never know what you're going to look into. And with a player like Worthy, I drafted him, by the way. I want to say at 110 in the draft I'm talking to, the Superflex rookie draft. Didn't really have a huge need. Have a bigger need at running back. I have Jahmyr Gibbs is like my only really solid running back. I'm going to try and grab a couple guys in the 4th round. I had one first round pick that I traded that back one spot and got Worthy. And then I'm going to. I'm great at quarterbacks. I'm great at pretty good at tight end. Great at wide receiver. Yeah, I still added Worthy. I probably should have gone running back in the 1st round, but you know how that is. I'll get a couple running backs maybe here. I have 2 4th round picks. So hoping for the best there. But getting back to Rashee Rice, if you're in a dynasty league and people are panicking, yes, go ahead and make a move for him. But if you're invested in Rice, he's the whole. If you're looking at Marquise Brown, I think people are going to realize there, or at least perceive there to be increased value based on the adverse circumstances of a teammate. So you're probably going to be asked to overpay if you're trying to acquire him. If you have him, the value's increasing. If you watch him on the best ball drafts right now, his price seems to be rising a little bit. Rashee Rice not really falling. I want to say, just look at the current ADP. I mean, I felt like he's been too high all along for me. I haven't been drafting him because it's just too damn expensive. Rashee Rice is definitely falling. Let's see. He's fallen notably. He is down to into the 4th round now. So he is wide receiver 26. He had been going in the teens, high end wide receiver 2, which I felt was too expensive. Let's see where Marquise Brown is moving up. He is firmly in the wide receiver 3. Well, 35th. This is on underdog. He had been outside that, like as a wide receiver 4. I thought that's been great value. And I've been wanting some of that. So I have a number of shares of him at the cheaper price. So I'm looking forward to taking advantage of that. And we'll go from there. Let's see if I can get a little something done here. All right. So looking at the right situation again, we don't know how things are going to play out, and I think one of the things that we think is, we get an outcome. Rice is way more appropriate right now. And I think that's the thing, right? Like the price finally has fallen into line with where I would like to draft him, but it took a verse these this bad circumstance for him to get there, which I think is odd. I mean, like he was fantastic, right? He was the second most productive rookie receiver in the NFL last year, and he's in a great situation with Patrick Mahomes. And I think that's the thing you should look at as an overriding factor for for the most part, right? Like if you're a dynasty investor, you're looking at the bigger picture, the long term. Could he miss a couple games this year? Yes, entirely possible. Maybe more, maybe not. Maybe he misses them next year. We saw that with Alvin Kamara. It took over a year. Got delays in the case, and the league waited it out. So, and I know some people are feeling like, you know, like like this is the end of the world. It's not. He's a very young player just coming off his rookie season. So dial back. And again, you never know the twists and turns these cases are going to take. That's the thing for me. The outcomes that seem so clear in our mind in the moment almost always don't turn out to be the outcomes that we get, right? So be mindful of that. I want to talk about some other receiving assets as well. I think we're into that season where we're going to start hearing from guys who are looking to get paid, right? And we heard it. Michael Galkin reporting on CD Lamb. He's set to be making, I want to say, 17.9 million on the final year of his contract. He would like to get paid. Michael Galkin from Dallas Morning News suggesting he will not show up for voluntary workouts. That's perfectly reasonable, right? That would be the expectation. Elite players wanting a new contract, not showing up for voluntary sessions is perfectly normal. Delkin goes on to suggest, though, that Lamb could consider denying services into the mandatory portions. That will cost him money, right? Like if he skips a June minicamp, I think it'd put him in line for $100,000 in fines. So, so I don't know how that works out. The big sticking point here is Dak Prescott has a contract worth $55 million, and there seems to be zero interest in reworking that. Hi, Peter. To turn this into a easier situation for them with Lamb, and that's the sticking point. And so the Cowboys are all in, uh, except they're not. They're all in on seeing if Dak can take them to the promised land, is what it seems like. And I think I know Rich Eisen talked about this like right after the combine when everyone thought Dak was going to get a new deal. Rich Eisen said, no, they're going to make him play it out. And if he doesn't take them far enough, they're ripping the band aid off and they're moving forward. Now, he'll have a $40 million dead cap hit next year. But, in a world where, Russell Wilson moves on, I mean, like teams can work around that. And I just think when you have an impatient owner dying to get back to dying, he's very old. I don't want to put it like that. But I mean, as these owners get older, their patience and their willingness to sit around and see how things play out kind of diminishes, understandably. So I think they're ready to rip the band-aid off. Either Dak gets them to the promised land or further or closer to the promised land, or they move on. Does that mean they move on to Trey Lance? I don't know. In my mind, I find it hard to believe why you're all in on maintaining the status quo. In my mind, like there aren't enough quarterbacks to go around. There aren't 32 frontline NFL quarterbacks. If you have one of those guys, probably you want to make sure you have another one before you move on. And I mean, I think the Packers did that, right? And or at least it appears they're well on the way to having done that. So I don't want to, I would be reluctant to move on from Dak, but clearly the money is part of the deal as well. They do have Trey Lance waiting in this. That's the thing about these players, right? Whatever our perception is, teams have different perceptions. I wrote about that with Jordan Love, and I've talked about it. You all know that the Packers knew what they had, and they talked about it at the owners' meeting. Brian Gutekunst said, "We absolutely knew who he was." Right, and that's why they felt okay. That's why you let a four-time NFL MVP kick his way out the room. I mean, I get it. It was a bad circumstance, and it might not have been the great relationship if they kept him around. But if you're a responsible franchise, do you let someone leave when you don't have another piece? I don't know. Are the Cowboys going to be willing to do that with Dak Prescott? I don't know. Do they think they have another piece in Trey Lance? I'm not sure that's the case. So, are they going to go out and delve in free agency? It seems like weird. You can do worse than a 12 win status quo, but I don't think that's going to like. Have you ever talked to a Cowboys fan, Eric? I don't think they're on board with that. Kevin Payne did a trade. San Francisco traded. That's not traded Hurts, Mike Evans. Superflex traded. I thought, wow, did something happen here while we were on there? Superflex traded Hertz, Mike Evans, 111, 211, Mooney, Chris Rodriguez received. We call this a blockbuster, people. Anthony Richardson, Jonathan. Wow, 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 wow. That's a nice try. I probably would have done this in a super flex. And yeah, I mean, it's obviously a dynasty. Yeah, you get Flacco as well. Wow, Kevin, that's a big move. I probably would have done that. I would probably be wanting some Anthony Richardson. Like Jalen Hurts is clearly a great quarterback, right? Mike Evans at the tail end of his world. Drake London is not. Jonathan Taylor still plenty of time. Would you know if you want to comp that out, the 111 and 211, 111. Like, would I give up a 111 for Jonathan Taylor? I thought I was going to win. Now I might. Wow, Deontay Johnson. Yeah, I think this is a good deal, Kevin Payne. I think I would probably would have done this, and maybe it's just the Anthony Richardson scan in me speaking. Because I mean, obviously you have. I mean, shorter term. I mean, the Hurts of Mike Evans seem like great plays. You're looking ahead, and it's proactive. I probably would have done this as well. Do you think you were in a position to make a playoff push this year? I mean, I think you. I mean, I think if you have Hurts and Evans, you probably are. Assuming Evans has a reasonable season. Interesting. I would have done it. I would have done it. By golly. Getting back to the wide receivers, though. CeeDee Lamb wants his money. Don't know if he's going to get it. Justin Jefferson's wanting his money. Jamar Chase wants his money. T. Higgins also would like his money. He's asked for a trade in lieu of his money because I don't think both he and Jamar Chase are going to get their money. Brandon Ayuk would like his money. He unfollowed the 49ers on the Instagrams today. I don't know if you recently saw his post uh, on the on Instagram, the Money Talks BS Walks post. That was a little bit, and this has kind of been an ongoing situation. Debo Samuel paid well ahead of him. Others have been paid. He is not paid. He seems to be a little bit upset. He's been throwing out the doppelganger tweets or whatever posts with he and Mike Tomlin. So he's out there flirting and he wants to get paid. So what do all these guys want? Well, Tyreek Hill makes 30 million a year annually. There's some players who are making more on single year deals, but long term contract averaging $30 million a year. That seems to be the bar they're all looking for. And how does that compare? Well, Hill signed his contract with Miami in 2022. The salary cap has increased. So the cap share equivalent of Hill's 30 million average in 2022 today would be 36.8 million. You have a year. You have to think that's the starting point for all these guys. And that's why like I thought Michael Pittman, yeah, he does. I thought like Michael Pittman maybe could have served himself well playing on the tag this year and letting it reset. Right? I think T. Higgins could probably do himself a favor and play on the tag this year and let the salaries reset because, I mean, Jefferson's gonna get paid. These guys are gonna reset the landscape, and so I think that's like I think there's a owners better get the pages, get the checkbooks out because people are gonna get paid. So, interesting scenarios there. That's a great trade. The more I think about it, the more I like it. I mean, I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's I mean, it's not bad short term. I mean, like, I'm not gonna sit here and knock it because I mean, you're a little more proven with Jalen Hurts, but, obviously, I mean, I wanna say reasons for concern, but it's not even that, right? No updates on that. We'll hear something. I mean, clearly they tampered. Basically, Cousins' introductory press conference suggests didn't suggest, almost outright made it clear that there was some discussions in advance, so I don't know. The league will do something, probably on a late Friday afternoon when nobody's paying attention. Maybe I guess it won't be because, well, maybe next Friday. Got a full week before the draft. Rebuilding on the flyish. Still have some Tyreek Hill. Oh, yeah. This is work. Rashad, Najee, Cousins. All right. By the way, throw your questions in here. I'm just sitting here chatting about the news of the day and whatnot. And Joe Burrow, by the way, feeling better. He'll feel even better if his receivers are paid, but he says he's on track to be ready, and he's working to avoid the injuries going forward. I'm sure all these guys are. Some other like semi-contracty type news. I want to say, who was it? ESPN's Tim McManus reporting the ball is rolling on an extension for Devonta Smith. So there's that. And what else is going on? Xavier Worthy visiting the Colts. Tua, there we go. There's another guy who's in line for a contract, has no plans to skip the OTA. They'll continue negotiating. So there are a couple other things that I thought, merited attention that I mentioned in the Football Guys video. Again, if you haven't been watching it, go give that a look. Appreciate y'all checking that out. And again, my fantasy notebook is out every Monday. It goes out in the email Sunday night. So check that out as well. I'll be talking about the Patriots situation, Royal Slade. I've been doing an offensive coordinator every week, so it's their turn. They're up. So I'll be discussing uh, mighty Alex Van Pelt and what the Patriots are doing. And I mean, obviously, a lot up in the air. You look at their current circumstance. So, obviously don't have a quarterback at the moment. Well, they do. His name is Jacoby Brissett. Uh, his history is not great. Not high end. He's come full circle. He's been the backups for many great players, some less great players, Sam Howell. Um, uh, Career record not imposing, so you got to think they're going to do something. You got to think they're going to be doing something, right? So, where are we at, Royal Slade? What's the local temp? What's the fan base temp on the not going with a quarterback early? I mean, I think there's two approaches, right? Either you go with a quarterback at 3, or you go with a wide receiver at 3, and you wait on your quarterback until later because there are still some good ones. Jacoby will be fine. So it is Drake May is the local fan take. Um, and not everyone is on board with Drake May. Some are, some are. Drake May seems to like I used to think it was JJ McCarthy or Penix who were the polarizing prospects. Drake May has now become the polarizing prospect. And the people who love him. The people who don't, they will take a quarterback. That's what I've thought as well. I've like, and it seems like Jane Daniels is starting to gain a little ground. And I don't know. I would love to see the Patriots get Jaden Daniels just to see them like really turn the page, right? And take a forward look. But that's just me. Uh, we'll see how it goes. Alex Van Pelt, ha- you know, 4 of his years in Cleveland, they had a top 10 rushing attack. How do we feel about Ramondre Stevenson? Superflex Dynasty. Ooh, how do we feel about Ramondre Stevenson with Antonio Gibson there? I mean, you look at the history in Cleveland, the usage of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. As long as Chubb was healthy, Kareem Hunt was never more than a you know tail end running back 3 flex level play. So I don't think I want to get overwrought. I've been starting. I've seen Ramondre Stevenson slide a little bit, so I've been drafting him. I hope you're co-signing on that, Royal Slade. And yes, that's how it's starting to look. That is Jane Daniels. Like he will go to the Commanders, and that seems to be the latest buzz. So that would be Drake May. We will see. How do you feel about Drake May, Royal? Is it good there? Is everyone happy with that? And then what level of receiver are we looking at? That'll be interesting as well. Andrea, Superflex Dynasty has 102 and 107. Her quarterbacks are Hurt, Lawrence, and Dobbs. Should she draft a quarterback or a wide receiver? I would probably be going I'd probably be going quarterback first and then wide receiver. You can get both. I'd wait on the wide receiver. And a super flex, you'd think the quarterbacks would go off first. I want to say, let me look at my super flex draft, Andrea, and see how it went. I will do the heavy duty name dropping here and let you know who took who. So in this league, and obviously some of this is predicated on who you have, right? What the rosters are. Matthew Berry started this draft out with Marvin Harrison Jr. Graham Barfield went Caleb Williams. Evan Silva went Jaden Daniels. Pat Thorman with Drake May. Then Malik Neighbors. So at the 104, 105, he got his. So I'll say this: 107 was so Adunze went 6. And JJ McCarthy didn't go until 9. So I think it just depends on the quarterback neediness, who you will get. I mean, it's possible you would get a great quarterback well, it's almost certain you'll get a great quarterback. You'll get either Williams or Jaden Daniels would be one of the two I take. And then at 7, it's possible you get one of the big 3 receivers. Not certain, but if you don't, you would get Brock Bowers, or then you're looking at the Brian Thomas. I got Xavier Worthy in that range. You're looking at the next tier clearly. So I think it's cutting it close. If you feel a little better at quarterback with Hurts and Lawrence, you could wait, go wide receiver. I think you could go either way. Honestly, if you're feeling less comfortable, I'm not sure who are your wide receivers. Andrew, that might be the defining factor. I think you could go either way. And maybe quarterback would be perfectly fine waiting on him. You're going to still get a really good one. So I am good with Stevenson. New England fans will never be happy. Someone will hate whoever they pick. Tom Brady's available, I'm told. Gibson is my late round sleeper. I'm starting to get a few shares of him in the late rounds as well. Good morning, Tootsie Pop. How are you? Cats are great. One is sleeping, staring at me and snoring. So he must be asleep, but one eye is open. The other one's passed out in the closet. What am I targeting in the 4th round of rookie drafts? Probably running backs at that point. I was just talking about that super flex draft I'm in, and I'm looking for some outlier running backs at this point. Who do I have in my queue right now? I'll tell you the level we're at, like in this draft. And this is you say too many windows. So this is super flex, so it's a little bit off schedule, right? So if like you're a regular draft, oh, if it's just a regular rookie draft, I'm probably taking chances on. Like I'm hoping I've gotten, whatever I have a quarterback and wide receiver out of the way, got some Brock Bowers gone, and I'm looking at running backs here, and I'll tell you, it's like the range I'm in, and this is a super flex, so people are getting pulled down a little bit. Some of the running backs that are going in round 3 in this draft, Braylon Allen, Otter Testame, Will Shipley, uh, Dylan Lowby, still in round 3. Round 4, we're just starting round 4. No running backs have gone in round 4. It's mostly been tight ends and wide receivers. One quarterback, the young Tagovailoa. In my queue right now, I will tell you the running backs that I have. I have Dylan Johnson, who Matt Waldman is really high on. I have Ray Davis in there. I have Jace McClellan, George Halane, and then if I don't get any of those, I'll go receiver or Ben Sinnott at tight end. But I'm thinking I'll get one of these running backs. But yeah, I think running back is, that level there is some value there. If we're looking kind of at the big list here, let me bring up my big list. Looking at that same range, Isaiah Davis, Bucky Irvin, some people like more than others. Rasheen Ali. Matt really likes Kamani Vidal a lot, and I think that's a viable play in that range. Dejan Edwards is another one I'd be looking at. Probably can get him even later. So yeah, there's lots of value there, Rachel. Lots of value. All right, should be some running backs value. Yep, for sure. So that's some of the list there, Rachel. I hope that helps. Um, had some information come out on the Tony Pollard Tyjae Spears split. I don't know how it's gonna impact. I thought it was interesting when I looked at this. So Nick Foles, the offensive coordinator, came out and basically said, "We see them as 1A, 1B. We're gonna split it up. They're both gonna have big roles, and you're not gonna know who's gonna be doing what and all that." Sounds great. So I was checking the ADPs on those guys, and Tony Pollard had been like running back 22 or as high as running back 22, or whether it was underdog or best ball tens, right in that range, 22 or 24. Spears has been going like 30 late as a late round 3 guy or a late running back 3 guy. I don't know that this changes any of that, but it might depress the price on Pollard a little bit just hearing this news. And if it does, I'll probably still be in on that at that price. If I'm waiting on running backs, which is when I've gotten Pollard. Um, but remember, Pollard has been at his best when when he's been, you know, not the primary piece. So the concerns for me are obvious. That I mean, they did just do a deal for an offensive lineman, so they're improving their offensive line. They brought in Bill Callahan, Brian Callahan, the new head coach. His dad, one of the great offensive line coaches in the league, came over from Cleveland with him. Well, came from Cleveland, not with him. Brian Callahan came from Cincinnati, but you get the point. But they have two backs there that are viable people. We just have to learn how to deal with these things, right? And looking to reap the value of the players. I want to say Spears had about 50, a little over, a little right around 50% of the snaps last year, and didn't average. I want to say 7 or 8 fantasy points per game. Mean, it wasn't great, right? So, I don't know, I haven't been getting a lot of Spears, and I know he was popular early before the Pollard, and then he plummeted after that. But I think that's, that's kind of that's kinda how that's kinda how I'm wish casting this, right? I gain a little bit of value on Pollard based on the fact that they're calling it a 1A, 1B, you're never gonna know. Uh, and also, I mean, we could take into account that maybe Pollard was being honest when he said he was not really at full speed. He was coming off the broken leg from the year before, and he said he took him till late in the season, until after week 10 to get rolling. He was very busy last year, but the breakaway runs went away for him, and I have some numbers on that I will share with you because I think it is interesting. Or they're legit numbers. So let's see. I have them here. Let's see. Explosive plays, the 22.8% breakaway rate last year was the lowest in his career, for Pollard. And I've talked about this in the season, how Michael Delkin from the Dallas Morning News, who I mentioned before in the Lamb update, is basically, charted it all out and saw that he wasn't hitting his high speed, 19 miles an hour, or the high end of his speed, as often. It had gone from, like, 4% last year to 1% last year. So that 22.8% breakaway rate in 2022, 45%. This is my man Zare Cansabedian over at Football Guys, who you often see here in the chat, and who I'm gonna try and get on the Ask Me Anything because he has all the numbers for you people. In 2022, 45% of Pollard's 186 rush attempts went for 15 yards or more. The only player in that same category since 2020 is Breece Hall. So, I mean, that's probably why people are drafting the upside, and you wonder if this doesn't depress the price a little bit, if I won't be all in on that. Wonder no more. I will be all in on that if the price depresses. Would love to have Tony Pollard as the running back 3 if I'm gonna have him. Wide receivers are Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, Romeo Doubs, Noah Brown, Mooney, Parker, Palmer. Yeah, I think you could go wide receiver too, and I think that's Royal Slate is so I started thinking about that as we're getting, like swapping them. I'm thinking, let's get the quarterback first. You obviously have your starters at quarterback. So I would probably that would be the approach for me. I would go wide receiver at 2. You're gonna get Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze almost certainly. Might Marvin Harrison, depending on what pick number 1 needs, and go from there. And I know some people are all bored on this. Matt Waldman does not have Marvin Harrison as his number 1. He has Malik Neighbors. John Law has Malik Neighbors as his number 1, or at least last time I talked to him, he did. Maybe that's just shifted. But you see a lot of people think he's the more dangerous playmaker, right? Roma Dunze is growing on people a little bit. So whichever one of those top 3 you got, I think most people view them as almost interchangeable. So I think I'll talk to Matt Harmon about that today. If you listen to the radio program, Matt Harmon will be on. He of Reception Perception fame. And by the way, we're shaking up the guest situation. The fantasy guest will be an hour 1. So catch Matt at 3:20 today. I'll keep him on for like a half hour, and I'll do Seahawks and Jaguars an hour 2 of the program, and talk some beat writer stuff and get some things sorted out for those Seahawks. I'm curious. I'm curious. We have Tim Booth on from the Associated Press. I'm curious. The signals you're getting, the sounds they're making about the quarterback situation. They're supportive of Geno Smith, but are they all in on Geno Smith? Not Cowboys all in, but really all in. I don't know. Curious, curious. I have a feeling about this one. They drafted Penix. I think the trade for Sam Howell threw that off, but Ryan Grubb, their offensive coordinator, coached Penix in college. I was connecting dots before the Sam Howell trade. I'm unconnecting them now. I think Royal Slade has it right, Andrea. I think I go wide receiver and still get a high end quarterback. Clearly, McCarthy's on the rise, and who knows how people may do or what the needs may be in those plays ahead of you. You maybe even get a better quarterback than you expected if you do that, but you certainly lock yourself in. Yeah, it'd be 2 and 7. Is that right? That's what I'm thinking. 2 and 7. I'm looking back just to make sure. Yeah, 2 and 7. All right. If you have more questions, let's throw them out there. Otherwise, we'll dig through some more nuggets here and see what else we have in the news highlights here. Arizona picking the fourth overall. A lot of conversation about what they'll do. I thought it was interesting listening to Sigmund Bloom and Cecil Lammey, last week talking about the possibility of Monty Austin Fort. That was a Freudian slip. Austin Fort doing his thing. Last year, we saw him go from 3 to 12 back up to 6. They got their offensive lineman. Do they do the same thing at wide receiver? But they value those guys. If, like maybe they have Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, and Malik Neighbors all cluster as well. Maybe they're all in the knot too. And maybe they say, well, let's trade back and see what we can get and acquire some additional capital and then move back up and get the last of those guys if we view them all in the same range. That'd be interesting to see how they handle that. We just don't know. Looking forward to all the coverage there. Again, if you missed it, I'll be on the Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio coverage along with Mike Dempsey, John Hanson, Jeff Ratcliffe, Jeff Mans, Lee Bender's on board as well. I'll be doing the same thing I did last year on the night one. I'll be coming in with instant reactions to all the skill player picks in real time and throwing it back to Mike and the panel. I'll do some videos too. Saturday night, I'll do a solo show from 11 to 1 after the draft. Matt Wallman will join me for that, and I'll have other guests as well. We'll kind of wrap up the first 2 days and start looking at landing spots and see how that matters, right? Like I'm sitting here discussing when we're talking about drafting players where we have no idea where they're going to end up playing, right? To me, the green flag of fantasy football has always been the NFL draft. That's when everyone has a helmet on. I know what they're going to be, what those incoming class is going to be up against. And also, not to be dismissive of the circumstances that players that we're already invested in are going to be facing. What kind of competition is coming in? There are always players who show up in places we didn't expect or that we might view as less than ideal landing spots from our perspective, right? There's always a running back that goes to a team that already has a running back. Wait, why are they doing that? Stop. Think this through. Too late. So we'll be covering all that live and in real time on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Mike and I will do a show on Saturday, 4 to 7 p.m. draft week. What is that? 30th, 27th? I count 25th, 26th, 27th is the draft. Then the 28th, we'll do a post draft. We will host. I'll be drafting in that one, and we'll see how that goes. Always kind of a tradition at Sirius. So looking forward to the good times there. I'll be on later today in a couple hours. I'll be on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, the Football Diehards program solo. Mike Dempsey is taking the day off to play golf. I'm going to try and set up some best balls to start up. See, I might be on the clock again in another one of the best balls. I know some of you are in them with me, so I don't want to delay anybody. Still on deck. Still on deck in this one. Take a quick look, see what I'm up against. It is round 9. I have Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins, Breece Hall, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, and Trey McBride. So I can pretty much do whatever the hell I want in this one. This is not a super flex. Let's see what I'm looking at. It's the available running backs, Austin Eckler. Nick Chubb is here. This seems like about where he's been going. I'll be into round it's a little earlier, right? He's been going more around 10. Could get Brian Robinson. I'm still kinda on board with that. I'd rather take Robinson over Eckler, so I think I can wait a little bit on that. Let's see who the wide receivers are here. Courtland Sutton, Jacoby Myers, Mike Williams, Josh Downs, Jameson Williams. Tight ends, TJ Hawkins, Dallas Goedert, Cole Kmet. I gotta get TJ Hawkins in here and hope for a late. I can only play one at a time. Where y'all at? I think Mayfield takes a step back like Geno did with the coach off to the Panthers. I think it's possible. He is on board with this offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, a guy that he landed with in Los Angeles, had the immediate success, but it's a narrow band. But he did co-sign on this acquisition. But yeah, it's entirely possible he could take. I mean, it was a great year. It was a career year. So it's like it seems almost likely he takes a step back, but I don't know if that means it's necessarily going to be a horrible year. And he's still going so late in the price range. Look at some of these values of quarterbacks. To me, it's it's interesting. You see, like quarterback's a position where we don't generally feel great if you miss out on a top guy. I mean, there's always seems like there's guys that are available later. Let's pull up the. I'll just pull up baseball times because it's the first one that came up. So Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, Jackson. I'm going in the order of ADP. Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud. Surprised he has not risen further. Anthony Richardson. I'm not getting him this cheap. Jordan Love inside the top 10 at number 9. Kyler Murray at number 10. Justin Herbert, number 11. I see him lower. I see him as low as 14. I think let me just look at under where they're at on him. I want to say he's after that on underdog. Justin Herbert is quarterback 14 on underdog. CJ Stroud is quarterback 4. Let's use underdog. Anthony Richardson is 6. That's closer to what I'm seeing. And I'm drafting more in best ball 10s than I am on underdog, but my drafts look closer to this. Allen, Hurts, Lamar, Stroud ahead of Mahomes, Richardson next, ahead of Joe Burrow, ahead of Prescott, Jordan Love at 9, Kyler Murray at 10, Brock Purdy at 11 seems about right. Caleb Williams, a quarterback 1. Quarterback 12 there. Tua, quarterback 13. Justin Herbert 14. Jared Goff 15. Trevor Lawrence 16. Kirk Cousins 17. Jaden Daniels 18. We're getting into the 20s, people, and I'm not yet Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, or Baker Mayfield, or Deshaun Watson for that matter. So quarterback 18, Jaden Daniels, 19, Stafford, 20, Rodgers, 21, Drake May. It's going to make you feel good, Royal Ford. Baker Mayfield, 22, Deshaun Watson, 23, Will Levis, 24, Justin Fields, quarterback 25. Wow. I'm avoiding this. I'm avoiding the Pittsburgh situation. Geno Smith, 26, Derek Carr, 27, Bryce Young, 28, JJ McCarthy, 29, Russell Wilson, 30, Daniel Jones, 31, Michael Penix Jr., 32, Nick's 33, Minshew, 34, Arnold, 35, et cetera, et cetera. So wow. I mean, think about that. This is the golden age of fantasy quarterbacks. So if I'm getting guys like Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, I get it. Lawrence wasn't great last year. I'm expecting a bit of a rebound this year. I'll talk to John Shipley from SI.com about the Jaguars on today's show. So catch that in an hour or two. Matthew Stafford is quarterback 19. Holy smoke. Aaron Rodgers at 20. Like, I'm thinking he's going to be healthy enough. Gino, so like, it's funny because I've been like, that's in quarterback 2s. Here we go on my pick. I don't hate Sutton. I mean, like, I'm worried about the quarterback, but I don't wanna over worry it. I think that's like I like Sutton too. I am going against everyone knowing. Ask Royal Slade. I'm so glad Pete Carroll will not be drafting anymore. That's the issue. Everyone knows who the hell I like. Savages. Um, yeah, I think Sutton is probably the who I'll take in there. Uh, Honestly, I'll revisit it since I'm not on the clock yet. I'll get it while I'm not in the middle of streaming, but I'm probably leaning that way. But think about the quarterback situation. So in super flexes, like I know we see some. Last year it felt like there was a wider range of circumstances where there were leagues where quarterbacks, second quarterbacks, third quarterbacks were going very low. I'm not seeing that as much this year. I see a lot of quarterback gangs. Quarterbacks are flying off, and it's not unusual for me to find myself on my quarterback 3 looking through the seeds and stems of the quarterback ranks. And you know who I end up with a lot is Bryce Young. I don't think Bryce Young's going to be great. I think he'll be better. He has to be better because it can't get much worse. It's possible he could be a lot better, but a lot better even would not be great. So, but I'm looking for job security at that point, right? And I mean, so as I was going through that ranks, it was striking to me like I don't have a lot of comfort level with and who I do. Right? Like the rookies at that point, it's their quarterbacks. I think they'll start, and I hope they start, and I hope they're good, but I'm probably avoiding them. I want more of a sure thing. So Mayfield is viable. Watson is viable. I'm assuming he's going to be healthy. Will Levis, I think he's locked in. Justin Fields is not. Geno Smith is not. Derek Carr is. Bryce Young is. Bryce Young, I'm getting a lot of shares of because sometimes I'm waiting until very late and I'm finding myself choosing between Geno Smith, one of the rookies, one of the Steelers, Daniel Jones. Like, I think Daniel Jones is going to make it through this year, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't feel like totally great about that one, and I certainly don't wanna get into Sam Darnold territory or whatnot, so it's been interesting, just the difference from last year to this year, and maybe that'll change as we get closer to the season and people kinda and maybe some of these rookies have landing spots, and we'll have a little better feel for what we should be looking for, or what our expectations should be in terms of, start or not start. Will we see guys, in better position than we expect? Will there be some surprises? Yes. Looking forward to surprises at the NFL draft. Got a few more minutes here if you have some questions. Chime in. We'll get to those before I call it a day and start getting ready for the Football Diehards radio program on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. I'll be doing a special next Tuesday as well. I want to say what time is that on? I want to say 3 p.m. Eastern time. Let me double. It's a draft preview show. It's roster watch. So I'll be on with Alex and Cody, Alex Dunlap, Cody Carpentier. It's actually starting a little earlier. I believe I will be on from 2:30, but I think the show starts at noon Eastern time. So they'll have Hanson, Ratcliffe, Dr. Roto, FC, Andrew Cooper, and myself will all take some guest spots and review some positions and see how things are going to kind of tee us up. You ready for the draft? How exciting is that? All right, let's see what else is going on here to get us excited about. No breaking news. This is great news. Glad to see that about Joe Burrow. I mean, what do we feel about him? I've not been drafting a lot because I've been going a little earlier on the Anthony Richardson, but I think he's kind of sliding down a little bit. You're thinking if he's going to have Higgins and Jamar Chase, and of course the great Mike Gesicki. I'm not overlooking that. A more explosive backfield, they think, with Zach Moss and Chase Brown could be interesting. I don't think they're going to trade anybody away here, T. Higgins, but it's possible. But it is, I think Burrow's made, I mean, I can remember, I'm old enough to remember uh, when we were drafting Joe Burrow as quarterback, right? I think like there's still an argument to be made if you're in dynasty, how you're viewing Jamar Chase versus Justin Jefferson with more certainty at quarterback, more certain high end play at quarterback for Jamar Chase. Uh, 12 more days. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that Tuesday show. I love Alex, man, Cody. They're fantastic. I almost swore. I almost said a bad word because they're that fantastic. You know what I was going to say. 12 more days. I'm ready. I am ready for the draft too, man. I feel like we had to get another week. We are not writing an article. I'm writing an article. I think the thing about the draft that irritates me. I think the thing that you know maybe I'm just being an old man here, but man, like 99% of everything we talk about in the month leading up to the draft doesn't come true, right? That's a lot of energy. Like I have a little more bandwidth this year because I'm not. I mean, I'm writing one big article a week, and that's fantastic. I've been writing more. Like if you've been at Football Guys, It's been, there's been plenty of work, and I got plenty of time. But, yeah, I think this is correct, Scampers. You know, every single year, Joe Burrow has had an issue, right? ACL, then, you know, then, appendicitis, and then he had to have his appendix out, and then this last year, the calf, and then the wrist. I mean, it's been something, but there's been something that's kept him from having a full off season and full training camp like every year, right? And so, you wonder what kind of start he'll get off to if he gets a full training camp in. And I say if because it seems like an if given his recent history, and they've all been fluky. The appendicitis, I mean, that's a fluky one, right? The calf, that's fluky. And clearly the calf was a limiting factor for him the first month of the season. There's no two ways about it. I did not think it would be. But man, if he gets off to a full start with those pieces, what are we going to be looking at? Is we going to be happy we drafted him outside the top five quarterbacks? Yes. It's a an offense built to maximize his abilities with lots of talent down the field. I'm looking at you, Mike Gesicki. It's time to rise, sir. Somewhere, Mike Fiala. Daddy's home is laughing at me. I can hear it. I can feel it. These guys in their Boston accents. But I'm with you there. But yeah, all the lying season will be over. The truths will be told with the expenditure of draft capital, just like we're told with the expenditure of cash money during free agency. We learn more about teams' plans. We learn even more about the team's plans on the draft. But that's the thing that's the thing that I like. I get it. I like the intrigue and it's all fun and well, but man, that's a lot of energy that goes into absolutely nothing when all is said and done. Uh, but I do love the draft. I mean, that's when you can really start working on, your assessments, sorting out how the player fits with the scheme. Matt Waldman's post draft RSP is fantastic and helpful in that. It's something I lean heavily on. Fits for each of the players in their landing spots, the coaches they'll be working with. You'll see the competition they have for playing time and opportunities. All that comes, starts coming together, and we can start sorting all that out. And there will be plenty of lying still. Don't I know if you love the lying, there's always going to be lying involved in the NFL. No shortage of that. But like a lot of truths will have been told. Truths in the form of expenditure of resources that tell us what directions teams are going to take. I'll be covering all of it at Football Guys. You can check that out. Again, get the free sign up for it if you don't already have it. Join 700,000 other people. And I will be joining that group, Sigmund Bloom and Cecil Lammy and Joe Bryant, and doing my turns on the news desk there. So I think I'll be doing early in the week, Monday and Tuesday to start out. And so check that out. My fantasy notebook will be out. Come out in your email Sunday night, but on the site every Monday. I'll be talking about the Patriots this week. Probably get into some of the stuff on Rashee Rice. Maybe take a look at Travis Etienne's usage. Maybe take a look at the Spears situation. Some of the things I talked about here today. I will preview them a little bit for you and get the thoughts clear in my head as I'm writing them down. And then catch me later today on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio solo show, Dempsey Free Edition. He's out golfing with Rich Mileto. Those guys, damn golf. I will have Matt Harmon of Reception Perception and Yahoo fame on the program today, hour one. I'll have Tim Booth and John Shipley covering Seahawks and Jaguars, respectively. And I'll probably talk about some of the things we talked about here today, maybe a little more or less detail. Who knows? And I'll probably go make my draft pick. It'll probably be Sutton. All right, everyone. Thanks for showing up. Really appreciate y'all coming in. We'll start getting a little more serious here in just 12 days. And by the way, that week I will be away, so I probably will not do. I definitely will not do a live stream on that Saturday. Thank you, Mike Kubiak. Appreciate you coming, man. It is a great offensive line class, and the offensive tackles starts with that alt character. If you're going to go to Los Angeles, and like we're all expecting skill players going there, and I'm living long and prospering. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you all coming again. I will be here Wednesday night. I will be here again Saturday. Check my Football Guys news video on Friday. Top 5 fantasy headlines, little 10-minute catch up, get you up to speed on things, and we can discuss here next week when I return for this and for the Football Diehards radio program. So I will see you all plenty in the coming days. And again, I appreciate your time. Always fun to kind of help me clarify my thoughts and kick things around with some trusted confidants, which you have all become. Thank you so much. See you soon.